Hey, what's going on? It's Sovereign. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're talking about the Primordial Jade Cutter, a new 5-star single-handed sword coming to Genshin Impact in 1.3. The Jade Cutter's substat is crit rate. Now, that's really important when building characters, and it's nice to get it in your weapon as a substat. The passive is really interesting, however, and in this video, I go on a hunt to try to find who could benefit the most from its passive ability to get you a little bit more attack. I would really like to see what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts about this sword. Who do you think is the best character to throw this on? Who will benefit the most from that passive ability? Now, not necessarily the crit rate, because let's be honest, most characters, if not all of them, will be able to benefit from the crit rate. This is specifically talking about its passive ability. So without further ado, let's jump into today's video. Now, they also did release information about the Primordial Jade Cutter, which is the new one-handed sword that is going to be released in 1.3. It's going to be possibly on the banner. Now, the interesting thing about this sword is that it's confusing. I don't really know who it's for. Let's take a look at it. Guys, let's take a look at it. All right, it's 5-star. Already we know it's going to be better just off of base stat and base attack rate. Not base attack rate, but base attack. It's going to scale higher than 4 stars. Cool. Its substat is crit rate. I like that. I feel like we've been missing that from the 5-star single-hand stores. There hasn't been a crit rate. Great, now we have one. There are characters that can use this, that really want to use crit rate in their builds that are single-handed sword. I mean, a lot of people could use it, but the substat is interesting. Well, not the substat, the passive ability of it is curious to me. HP increased by 20%. Okay. Additionally, provides an attack bonus on 1.2% of the wielder's max HP. Now, I was crunching some numbers here yesterday when I saw this and I was reading through it, and this can get you a decent attack bonus if you're at 15%, 15,000 HP or above. 1.2% of that is around, I think, 180 attack. If your max HP is 15,000, which a lot of people at end game level 90 with decent artifacts, your HP is going to be over 15,000. So getting an additional 180 attack for that, that's pretty good, and that goes into your base attack, which everything else scales off of. Not to mention you're also stacking 20% HP, and then this takes that buff off of that, so you're getting a little bit more HP to get a little bit more attack out of. Okay, not bad. Other weapons that scale off of like attack percent increase, you know, they don't. It's competitive, let's say. It's competitive with those because you are making up extra attack that you're not getting from an attack percent substat because you're going for crit rate to hit more crit damage. I get it. There has to be some type of balance between weapons. Okay, it makes up for that somehow. But to really make this shine, you would want to put it on somebody that probably scales with HP. And I was going through characters last night and trying to find a single hand sword user that would benefit for scaling off of HP, and there currently isn't one in the game. Now, you might say, hey, Jean could be used as a healer. Her having more HP is great, but except for that, her heals scale off of her attack. If we look here, it says it right here. It's a percentage of attack plus a certain number. So she scales off of attack. So maybe Jean isn't the best to have a sword like that on, because she's not really building to have a crazy amount of HP to build that back up. So you're building her for attack. So you want to have a high attack with Jean. All right. Well, what about Chi-Chi? She's a healer. What if she has that same? No. Chi-Chi, she also scales off of attack for her heals. Okay, well, who really else scales their HP? Well, no one, but hey, maybe Bennett. Bennett might scale a little bit off of that because, you know, on his ult, he does have a little bit of continuous regeneration per second scaling off of his max HP plus an actual amount. Okay, that might help. But why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because you need to scale him on attack, because his attack buff scales off of his attack. So you want to scale Bennett for attack if you want to do more damage. So I don't really understand where this is going based off of that sub stat. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, let's maybe look at people that maybe need crit rate. Maybe they just need some crit rate because that's part of their build. Well, Kaya is a great crit rate build because, you know, you get with the new set, the new cryo set for artifacts, he gets crit rate. Not to mention, if you also get crit rate for resonance. You also get crit rate through his C1, I believe. I think it's C1. Yes, C1 Kaya. Crit rate of Kaya's normal and charged attacks against opponents affected by cryo is increased by 15%. So if you're giving Kaya this weapon that has crit rate attached to it, that is a 5-star, which is going to scale his attack pretty to a decent amount. There are other 5-stars and maybe 4-stars that might get his attack a little bit better, but I digress. We're not talking about it. We're talking about just crit rate. Then you could just focus on all his artifacts doing crit damage, and then at that point, you know, Kaya might be formidable. Or maybe anyone else that might like crit rate. Like, who else do we have here that's one-hand sword? We do have Keqing. But I'm questioning, is there a better option for her? Because I've seen people build Keqing in a way where they're getting high crit rate and high crit damage without using this sword. They're using a different sword altogether and still being able to pull off those builds. Because, you know, she does have crit damage built into her kit, so if you give her a crit rate weapon, that could be useful for her, and then you could just go crit damage circlet to scale even more crit damage on her. That might be useful for Keqing. But I also question, are there better options for a one-hand sword on Keqing to where her actual max output mathematically makes more sense to use that weapon over this Jade Cutter? So then I start to question, is there another character coming to us that we don't know about yet that is going to be using a one-handed sword? So the current unreleased characters, it looks like the only person is Ayaka. Putting a Jade Spirit on Ayaka, getting her more crit rate, wouldn't be such a bad thing. She doesn't have any HP scaling in her kit, but getting extra crit rate is cool, I guess. And I really couldn't find anything in her constellations that seemed to be affected by getting more crit rate, boosting that crit rate to, well, I guess here, what is this, C4? Normal attack crit rate is increased by 10% here when her energy is low. But other than that, there's nothing really in her kit that really shouts and screams, we want crit rate on this through a weapon, or we want HP stacking on this character. So it doesn't really make sense. Like, and don't get me wrong, you can use whatever weapon on whatever character you want and build them however you like. I'm just thinking for the full max damage or output potential of whether they're a support or a DPS. I just don't see where this makes sense on the current single hand sword users in the game. But I would like to leave this to you guys. What do you think about this sword coming to the game? Do you think it would be useful for any character that you're currently building as a support or a main DPS? Let me know in the comment section. I'm curious on what your thoughts are. I would love to see how you guys are building out. I'll leave a pinned comment as well, so if you want to just put your ideas down below that, let me know. So that's it for today's video. Like I said, drop a comment down below, leave a like for the algorithm, help your boy out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, leave a comment down below. Let me know who your favorite character is in Genshin Impact. See you guys in the next video. Oh, yeah! Yes! Okay.